Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unwoke Thoughts. We got a lot going on today. Lots to talk about. Big show. Yes, big show. Yesterday, I noticed that there was some connectivity issues. I don't know what was going on. I hope everything's fixed now. My dad actually called me after the show. He was like, hey, the chat's still running. It looks like there's a blank screen up there. What's going on? He said the whole time it was buffering. Nothing was I was like, I don't know. I looked at the chat at the end of the show and I saw that everyone was saying that there was it was pausing, buffering, all sorts of other stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with Hurricane Milton. I'm not really sure. I saw that it was happening on some other streams as well. I saw someone said that Benny Johnson's and some other guy's stream. I forget the guy's name. A couple other big YouTubers that are much bigger than me. They were having some problems as well. But these big YouTubers are from Florida. I'm not from Florida. I'm in Michigan. So what's going on? I don't know. So hopefully everything's fixed. Hopefully this whole stream can go off smoothly. But yeah, I noticed there was a pretty significant drop off in viewership yesterday. So that's probably why. It was a good show, though, yesterday. I actually enjoyed that one. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. Make sure you share this one. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about, yes. U.S. Senate candidate for Arizona, Kari Lake, had her debate with her opponent, Ruben Gallego, last night, where she pretty much mopped the floor with him. It was pretty amazing. Even the Associated Press had to admit that she made him look terrible. But it is a close race in Arizona, and I believe in a fair election, Kari Lake would win. But who knows what shenanigans are going to be pulled. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Yes, I would really like to see Kari Lake to win that Senate seat. I'm looking at two very closely. I'm looking at Kari Lake in Arizona and Eric Hovde in Wisconsin. Yes. Those are two I'm like really pumped about. Now, Eric Hovde, I think, has a little bit more of a chance than Kari Lake. But who knows? I could be surprised about Kari Lake. Kari Lake is head and shoulders above this Ruben Gallego guy. Emphasis on the gay, you know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. But another thing we're going to talk about now, this story really took the internet by storm. Yes, this story took the internet by storm, and I've been pretty fascinated with it as well. It is the story of Lieutenant Dan. Yes, now who is this guy? Well, Lieutenant Dan is a man who refused to leave his sailboat before Hurricane Milton and chose instead to ride out the storm. Yes, in his sailboat. People would visit him to get updates leading up to the storm and would video chat with him at times during the storm. And now we have an update after the storm. Did he survive? Did Lieutenant Dan survive? Well, we're going to talk about that. Calm down. But prior to the storm hitting Florida, a dog was left tied up to a fence and was rescued by a Florida State Trooper. Ron DeSantis has since responded to the viral video, and he said that whoever did it should have the book thrown at him. And you know what? I agree because the dog in the video is the same breed of dog I used to own. And I looked at the video. I was like, man, that's just evil. You know, when people do bad things to dogs, that's just straight evil. But Milton hit Florida, and probably the most dramatic thing I've seen so far, because it was, late last night that it hit. But the most dramatic thing I've seen is the roof torn off of Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. And it's kind of crazy because, this is a stadium that was filled with beds and supplies and stuff where first responders were going to stay. And now the roof is completely gone. So it's kind of sad. But all of this crazy weather is starting to cause people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to ask a lot of questions as to why we have weather like this. And Marjorie Taylor Greene insinuates, that the government could be using lasers to control the weather. And well, according to Joe Biden, this is preposterous. This is crazy. Why would people say this? Now, is it really that crazy? I mean, our own mainstream media and top physicists were talking about it just a few years ago. So maybe it's perfectly reasonable to have some questions, let's just ask a couple questions. Can I just ask a couple questions without getting berated by President Obama or Biden? President Obama. Did I just say that? President Biden. But Donald Trump has completely taken off the table the idea that there will be another debate, even if it is on Fox. And as much as I would like to see another debate, I think I agree with his reasoning. Plus, at this point, I don't think people really could be swayed one way or another, I think people are pretty much stuck in their ways. And when I look at it, I believe that the only real hurdle is actually getting out the vote, because there are millions of people who identify one way or another who simply fail to vote out of pure laziness. And this is why Donald Trump talks about Christians and gun owners, and he cites these statistics that show low voter turnout among these groups. So I think it's more important for Trump to spread hype the way he has been with these podcasts. Like he went on, what is it called? The Flagrant 2, I believe it's called, with Andrew Schultz. Massive podcast. So I think it's more important that he does it that way, instead of going on mainstream media, giving them a platform. Because I don't really think that really moves the needle that much. I think you have a bunch of Democrats who are just like, I hate Trump. You have a lot of Republicans that are like, I hate the Democrat Party. I don't think that Republicans necessarily hate Kamala Harris as much as the Democrats hate Trump, because Trump is an individual. Kamala Harris is just representative of the machine, So it's hard for me to say I hate Kamala Harris. She's a puppet, whatever, Yeah, she's unlikable, but what I hate is the machine, okay? What I hate is the fact that they're able to put up a Kamala Harris or put up a Joe Biden. That's what I really hate. Kamala Harris, I guess you got to direct your vitriol somewhere, So it's always Kamala Harris, but or Joe Biden, whoever is the current puppet of the regime. But I don't think people really hate Kamala Harris. She's just emblematic of, that machine, the deep state, or however you want to say it, the neocons. Texas Secretary of State, this is crazy. The office directs poll workers to accept non-citizen IDs as voter IDs. That's weird. A black female Democrat CNN strategist gets into it with a white male pundit and proclaims that she won't be lectured by some white man. Yes. And finally, Donald Trump visits Scranton, Pennsylvania, Biden's hometown, where he absolutely bodied not just the corporate press, but Howard Stern and Whoopi Goldberg. So he may have made their heads explode. That remains to be seen. Yeah, he not too nice to Howard Stern and old Whoopi, but I think it's okay. I think they deserved it. But before we get into the show, leave a like on this video and also comment down below. Let me know what you think of the show. And if you enjoy the show, consider subscribe.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Yes, guys, go to mypillow.com/unwoke. Use your promo code unwoke. Get your pillow, $14.88 on sale. Everything's on sale. Everything is cheap as crap right now on mypillow.com. It's crazy. Make sure you go there. Use my promo code. Buy some stuff. But let's get into it, guys. Kari Lake, I'm going to play for you this video of a highlight from her debate. And also, we're going to get into this Associated Press article that actually seemed to kind of praise her, because she stood in sharp contrast to Ruben Gallego. She attacked him over of course, one of the biggest issues, the border. And he really didn't have much to respond, The only thing really the Democrats have to rebut this is that, quote unquote border bill that was supposed to give a lot of money to Border Patrol. Remember that one that they called a border bill, but really what it did was codified into law. I believe it was like 5,000 illegal migrants a day coming over the border. Like, you gave Border Patrol a lot more money, and I think they added some judges that could process these asylum claims quicker or something like that. But it wrote into law basically that it was okay and that it was legal, or that they wouldn't do anything about the situation until it exceeded a certain amount of illegal immigrants coming over the border, which I believe was around 5,000 a day. So it really wasn't a border bill at all. It was a joke. It was simply something that the Democrats could say or hold up and say, hey, look it. We tried to fix the problem, but the Republicans shut it down. Donald Trump, he told them not to vote for it because he wanted the political points. When in reality, that's not true whatsoever. If you actually read into the bill, it's amazing what these lawmakers can get away with simply naming a bill a thing, because no one reads past the name. Like, I mean, the Patriot Act, perfect example, perfect example. And this border bill, I forgot what the border bill was even named, but it was something crazy. And it wasn't really even, it was like an afterthought. It was attached to Ukraine spending, you know what I mean? So that's really the only vector of attack that Democrats have against Republicans when it comes to the border, other than just completely lying and gaslighting. So he tried to use that, and really the only other thing that he could attack Kari Lake on was abortion. So, abortion, Trump, and that's it. Abortion and Trump. That's really all they have. Well, you are a Trumper. Yes, I am. But listen.
I just jotted down Ruben's exact quote. He called it the dumb, stupid border wall. He wrote an op-ed that said why we should never build Trump's wall ever. So we're getting the extreme makeover version of Ruben tonight. Ruben has voted against border security every step of the way. Remember, I covered the state for 27 years. I was in your home. And all that time we watched as career politicians said they were going to secure the border and give us border security. And they never did until President Trump came along and actually secured the border. But he had to do it with one hand tied behind his back because people like my opponent were fighting him every step of the way, would not give a penny for that border wall. That border wall keeps us safe. We've seen it here in Arizona because we've seen those areas where the border wall is there and people aren't coming through. Where there are gaps in it, people are pouring through. And Ruben Gallego has supported every step of the way Kamala Harris, the border czar, and Joe Biden's open border policy, which has ushered in 20 million people illegally, including more than 400,000 convicted criminals, and they've done nothing to secure the border. The only piece of legislation that Mr. Gallego has put forth was not about border security. It was about removing the word illegal alien from anything in the federal government paperwork. He's more worried about semantics than our security. And right now, we know that we have terrorists that are coming through. We're worried about a potential terrorist attack on our home soil. We want to be able to go for a jog in the morning like Lake and Riley did and not have to worry about being killed, raped, and murdered. And we're not safe because of the people that have come in. Ruben Gallego has empowered the cartels. I want to finish the border wall. On day one, my first piece of legislation will be to fully fund and expedite the construction of the border wall. It's unfortunate we already paid for the construction materials to do that, but Ruben Gallego and Kamala Harris they sold that $325 million rather of border material for pennies on the dollar.
That's a new one. Did you hear how she said Kamala's name? She said Kamala Harris. That's a new one. But man, what a fantastic speaker Kari Lake is. I mean, she is so good. She's in a debate, so there's no way she's reading a teleprompter. She looks like she is, or she's not. She doesn't look like she sounds like she is. I mean, she is such a fantastic speaker. I mean, just smooth, polished, which is probably why the AP News said this about her. They called her smooth and polished, which was very surprising to me. It must have been pretty bad for Ruben Gallego if the Associated Press is writing about this. But we're starting to see, I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more. Some of the press start to lean a little bit to the right sometimes, because I believe that they know that their days are numbered. They're becoming a laughing stock. The days where people take the mainstream media seriously is there are some people that are, but it's a shrinking group. Let's just put it that way. And I think a lot of the media, especially, these TV stations, like cable news or whatever, they're going to go the way of Blockbuster soon if they don't get smart. Remember, I think it was Blockbuster that was approached by Netflix at the time. They offered them a deal to buy them out. I might be getting the story a little bit wrong, but I know it had something to do with like a deal to acquire Netflix, and Blockbuster said no, because Blockbuster was a, billion-dollar company, and Netflix was just this little startup. Yeah, right. We're not going to have anything to do with you, your little piddly Netflix startup. Huh, that sounds crazy. Movies on demand from wherever? Wow, insane idea. Well, now I think the last Blockbuster, they went bankrupt. The last store closed. I think there might be one left. One, like in some remote place. I think I read a story about that. But I think the news is kind of going the same way. You know what I mean? Because no one really pays attention to them anymore. There's a small group of people, and we kind of live in this weird reality where there's one side who thinks that the mainstream media is completely full of crap, and then the other side who tries to pretend that they are actually dealing in reality and that they are actually objective. So it's kind of a weird situation. I went on a tangent there. I don't even remember what I was trying to say. I digress. I don't remember what I was even getting at there. It's been a long morning. But moving on, Associated Press is talking about this debate. They say Lake blames Gallego for border woes. He vows to protect abortion rights. But Republican State Senate candidate Kari Lake repeatedly reminded viewers Wednesday of her 3-decade career on Arizona television, looking to harness the intimate connection she has built with voters and overcome Democrat Ruben Gallego's portrayal of her as a liar in the only debate of the closely watched race. Oh, wait, Kari Lake is the liar? Hilarious. Lake's comfort and polish in front of the camera stood in contrast to Gallego, a military veteran who occasionally tripped on his words. You see how the press always provides a little cover for the Democrat candidate? They've got Kari Lake was comfortable and polished in front of the camera, but only because she had a 3-decade-long career on Arizona television. Now, Gallego, he's a military veteran who occasionally tripped on his words. Yeah, that can be forgiven. We could overlook that. Excuses. Now, I'm not. It's not like I never trip on my words. I get it. But they constantly try to use this language and they try to skew these articles and how they write these articles to try to give their candidate the benefit of the doubt. And they try to take away the benefit of the doubt from, say, in this case, Kari Lake, who is a Republican candidate. They use language to try to do this. It's doublespeak. You see it constantly. It's what bugs me. Now, I don't really care. If you want to criticize a candidate, criticize a candidate. But, what I don't like is when these organizations try to portray themselves as unbiased. They're not. Like the Associated Press, come on. That's like a news organization that a lot of people trust, that, you hear Associated Press. Oh, that sounds very serious. But they constantly do this. Same with Reuters. Oh, you hear Reuters, like, oh. And, some people, they read this, they're like, okay. It's just like these slight little things that just really get me when I read these articles. But Arizona is good to be back where our relationship began, right here in your home. Kari Lake said to start the debate. She accused Gallego of undergoing an extreme makeover to downplay his progressive record. I think all the Democrats right now are undergoing a extreme makeover. You see it with Kamala Harris. It starts at the top with Kamala Harris. All of a sudden she's for, border security. She's for no tax on tips. She's for all of these things. She's for, making the economy better and all, and that has to kind of come into play for all these down ballot races too, because they have to show like sense of unity with the party, So now all of a sudden the Democrats are trying to seem like the America Party. They're trying to seem like the fiscally responsible party, the party who is against illegals coming into the country, or they at least they say they want to control it, even though they're the reason it has been uncontrollable for years. Gallego called Lake a liar. And look at here. Pointing to her discredited claim that she won the 22 race for governor. Crazy. Then they paint Lake as the darling of the populist right after leaving her career as a local television news anchor. Has tried but struggled to redefine herself since losing in 2022. So more of the same from Associated Press. At least they're admitting that Kari Lake is polished. I'll take it. She is very polished. She does a very good job, and she does not lie. She is not a liar. But let's move on to something a little different here. A Florida man dubbed Lieutenant Dan. Before Hurricane Milton started, he said that he plans to ride out the Category 5 hurricane in Tampa Bay. This is him. Prior to the hurricane hitting, this is Lieutenant Dan. Yes, he looks like an old salty sunburned sea dog, doesn't he? I think he has one leg only. But this is what happened prior to the hurricane hitting. And this caused him to absolutely become like an internet sensation overnight. Listen.
All right, Dan, the people that are new, explain to them why you're deciding to stick out a Category 5, one of the worst hurricanes in Tampa history, out on a 20-foot sailboat in Tampa Harbor.
My faith in God, my faith in man. God told me to come out here and get a boat. I came out here and got a boat. And everything that he's been telling me over the last 2 days is I'm doing the right thing. He's got my back. I'm in good shape. I ain't sweating it. We're going to ride this one out. We got set up the way We know what we're doing, and as long as the water just keeps rising, we'll be fine.
Will you be wearing a life jacket?
Hell no.
Are you gonna be able to swim if it need be?
In circles.
Can you swim with one leg or what?
Yeah, I can float like a damn champ, but swimming I just go in circles.
So the plan's just to stick it out here?
Yeah, I mean, the water's gonna come in, it's gonna rise. If you're on land, it's gonna flood, you're risking drowning. I'm in a boat. The boat goes up with the water. So even if the boat goes up 100 feet in the air, I'm gonna be up 100 feet in the air with the water. So it's really, the safest place in the world to be is on my boat. And I got room for one more female.
Give the people some words of wisdom out there.
Just, you know what to do. Just be safe. Don't do stupid shit. And we'll all be all right. We'll be here, we'll be here tomorrow.
Wise words, wise words. So that was Lieutenant Dan before Hurricane Milton hit. What do you guys think? Did he survive? Did Lieutenant Dan survive? I wonder. Feel good story. A guy who looks like he's had somewhat of a rough life, He has one leg, I believe. Not a rich guy. Just kind of seems like a guy who's been through the ringer. He's like, you know what? I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay on my boat through one of the worst hurricanes, or at least is what they say. One of the worst hurricanes ever. And I am proud to say, guys, he made it through. He made it through. Like I said, they kept coming back, they're like influencers. I really don't know if they're influencers or not. I know it got somehow shared on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and all over the place. And I started seeing it. At first, I didn't pay much attention. And then I just kept seeing video after video. And I was like, okay, let me look at this. And I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm kind of invested in the story. At first, I was like, whatever. But then I started wondering, last night I was checking Twitter. I was searching Lieutenant Dan. Did Lieutenant Dan make it? I was like, it was on my mind. I don't know how that happened. But I would like to inform you, he did make it. He made it through the so-called worst hurricane in history, is what they were saying. I think it at first they said it was going to be really, really bad. I think it was pretty bad still. But from what I understand, when it made landfall, I believe it might have been a category 3. I do know it went down a category or 2. So that's good at least. It's still kind of early in the morning, sort of. No, it's 10 o'clock. I guess it's not. But I haven't really been paying attention to the news about this other than what I've seen kind of early this morning when I was awake. But this is Lieutenant Dan emerging from his sailboat. And, he's his balls are so big he can barely drag them out the door. Watch.
How's the ride?
The water's gone.
Yeah, it's going out into the water. It's going out, being pulled out.
Yeah. You see right there.
How are you doing? No problem.
Huh?
Was it as bad as you thought?
No. Is the water coming back in or still going out?
It's going out.
All right.
Yep. All right, you hang in there.
All right, you guys be safe. I'll see you tomorrow.
You too.
Dude, that's crazy. So he made it through. It doesn't really surprise me. But it takes someone to... I think it takes a special person to survive something like that. You got to have some common sense. Take someone who's just like, you know what? I get the officials are saying all these things and they have to say that, but I'm different. I'm just made different. I'm gritty. I've been through it. And a lot of people are now bringing up the fact that he has some sort of rap sheet and all these other things. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. Can we just have a feel-good story? Look at this grizzly old man. He's 50-something. He's been through it. He has one leg. here in a second, I'll show you where Aiden Ross, I don't know if you guys remember Aiden Ross. He's that kick streamer who interviewed Donald Trump. Now he's offering him like a new boat and like a kick deal. So he's had all this publicity, just this random guy from all I can see. He doesn't look like someone who really has a lot of resources where he could, concoct this story. But maybe, I don't know. But then people are now calling him, oh, he has this rap sheet. He has all these other things. I'm like, I don't even care. I'm so past that. Why do we all always have to do this? The internet, they've always got to crap on something, crap on a story. It's like, this is really as far as I would like to take it. I'm just glad he's okay. I'm glad he did something cool that was really legit. One of the worst storms in history. He's on a sailboat in Tampa Bay. Can we all just recognize that that's pretty crazy? And say, good for you. I'm glad you're okay. But the New York Post even picked up on this story, so we'll see if there's anything new here. Tampa Bay's Lieutenant Dan emerges unscathed after braving Milton's fury on his sailboat, despite Mayor insisting he went to a shelter. The one-leg sailboat dwelling Florida man, nicknamed Lieutenant Dan, is okay after riding out Hurricane Milton's wrath in Tampa Bay, despite the mayor insisting he went to shelter ahead of the powerful storm. The sailor who went viral for refusing to abandon ship never left his boat, which he lives on. The mayor claimed the Tampa police just saved Lieutenant Dan during a press conference Wednesday afternoon. Tampa Bay Mayor Jane Castor claimed that the Tampa police just saved Lieutenant Dan. What? He has been rescued. He's now in a shelter as well. If we can get Lieutenant Dan to a shelter, we can get anybody to do that. But Lieutenant Dan, whose real name is Joseph Malinowski. Oh, he's a Pole. He's Polish. Heck yeah, man. I'm a little bit Polish myself. Was spotted. That's my guy right there. That's my guy. Hard-headed Polish people. You gotta love them. He was spotted on his small sailboat docked in Tampa Bay just moments later. That's great. I didn't know that was he was Polish. I know the mayor of Tampa just said in our press conference that Lieutenant Dan went to a shelter. He didn't. I'm standing right here. News Nation correspondent Brian Eaton tweeted just before noon alongside a photo of Malinowski popping his head out of the canvas covering his sailboat's cabin. And so it was this guy. It must have been this guy from News Nation. I think News Nation is isn't that the channel? What's his name? I forgot. Anyways. Chris Cuomo. Yeah, that's Chris Cuomo's network, isn't it? The one he's on. But Lieutenant Dan, in a nod to Garen Sinsi's seafaring amputee character in Forrest Gump, so that's who they named him after. This guy returned to check on him after Milton made landfall and found his sailboat tied to a dock in Tampa Bay where the water had been dragged out by the storm. He called out to Lieutenant Dan a few times. I'm fine, Malinowski said nonchalantly as he popped his head out. So that's good. Lieutenant Dan is fine. Lieutenant Dan, great ending to the story. I don't want to hear about all these, oh, he's got a rap sheet, he's got a past. Of course, everyone does. He's 50-something years old. He's living on a sailboat. He just rode out the worst storm in history, according to some of these weather people. Just let him have his little time. But afterwards, Aiden Ross brings him on his live stream and actually talks to him and says that he's going to give him a kick deal and a new boat. Listen.
We were able to come up. I'm going to be able to pay for a boat for you. We're going to get you a nice boat in the range of $50,000 to $100,000. And we're going to get you a full-time kick deal, which is a live streaming deal where you can stream your entire voyages and all your adventures. And you could have a passive income come in. And you're going to be, you're going to have a kick deal, man, a live streaming deal. So you could live stream and connect with fans all over the world, and they could really see your adventure, man.
Wow. Thank you.
It's going to be insane.
I mean that from, I don't know what else to say other than thank you. And bless you all. And you guys are really getting me out of that, and I want to thank you. You're giving me my life back. I'm 54 years old, and I've never gotten to live yet. Yeah, we got a little bit of issues going on. But
So he's still in the storm. He is piping into Aiden Ross's live stream, and yeah, I hope he gets that new boat. I hope Aiden Ross doesn't listen to all these haters who say that Lieutenant Dan has a rap sheet. Listen, I think he deserves it. He did something cool. But this is him giving a post-hurricane interview. The last one on Lieutenant Dan, guys. Let's hear what he has to say.
We got the boat here, and Lieutenant Dan here. How'd it go?
Oh, look at his leg. That just looks gnarly. You see that? Wow, that's crazy.
Here. How'd it go? How'd the night go?
it was a little rough till about 11:30. I repositioned the boat, and I was heading into the wind, and I slept like a baby from 12:30 to 5 o'clock this morning. I woke up twice to pee, that was it. But other than that, I mean, it's been a great night. I just smoked half a joint. I'm high, I'm watching all the people run around like crazy because of all the water. And water went up. It was up to here last night. It was over the fucking pole.
There's the boat, still standing.
I mean, I believe me, I got battered against the tire, but other than a couple of scuff marks on the side, my boat's in better shape now than it was before because it got washed. So, I mean, everything's a plus. It's a win-win all the way around.
What'd you learn from this experience?
Not a damn thing. No. There are a lot of good people in this world, and I gave up on this world years ago because I've been on my own, and I mean, I struggle every freaking day just living, and never anybody offers to help. Never. But Karen's here posted this video, and it started getting likes, and then people started realizing that, you know, maybe he's not just crazy, maybe he really doesn't need help.
Of course, man, let's go.
And people came out and helped me. We moved my boat from down over here, where I would have got smashed last night on the wall. And
so good for Lieutenant Dan. And listen, guys, for the people who, you know, like to bring up his past, well, he's not running to be a politician. Let's just see a feel-good story and leave it at that. Why do we have to get all up in arms? Oh, he did this, he did that. Listen, I don't care. I like Lieutenant Dan, okay? I think it's cool. It's a cool story. After this is over, I probably won't think about him again. And I think more people should have that mindset. They should be like, oh, cool story. Feel-good story. It's great. Not get into, oh, he did this, he did X, Y, and Z. You know what? Who cares? Just enjoy the feel-good story. Why do we have to get all up in our feelings? Every time something like this happens, someone's got to like, oh, but look at this. Now, if it's like someone trying to run your life, that's a different story. But this is just an old homeless guy, or I guess he's not homeless technically. He looks kind of homeless. One-legged dude who's just been through it. Let's just acknowledge that he just did something cool. But moving on, guys, we have some scenes of the aftermath of the hurricane, and this is the craziest one that I saw. This is the raised Tropicana field where the roof has been totally blown off. I don't think there's any sound to this. No sound. But yeah, that's what it looks like. If you look, all those like things down there, if you look at them, if you see them, those are all like beds, like cots. That was supposed to be the spot where everybody stayed. I guess first responders or maybe anyone who might be in trouble. But now it looks like it's flooded with water and the roof is ripped off. Pretty crazy. Also, before the storm actually hit, there were like tornadoes popping up everywhere. This is Fort Myers. I've actually been to Fort Myers before. Ironically, for a hurricane, this was a few years back. But here's what it looked like in Fort Myers. Some of these these tornadoes that popped up. We got that. I mean, wow. Fort Myers really just gets destroyed like every time something like this happens. Every time there's a hurricane or a hailstorm, it's just always Fort Myers that just gets wrecked. This person already has their windows boarded up. So yeah, insurance companies. Ooh, that's rough. Did you see that? The top of that roof is blown off, and there's just water just flooding into the house. That's wild. So these insurance companies really have their work cut out for them. Guys, if you live in Florida, you had something like this happen to your home, I urge you. If there's one thing I know, it's dealing with the insurance companies, and you don't want to do it alone. This is not an ad for anybody. I just urge you, find a public adjuster. Look up public adjusters. Trust me, they're worth all the money that you will spend on them. And most of them, you don't even pay any money up front at all. They work on like a contingency basis, you know, depending how much they actually get you approved on your claim. They take a percentage of it, so it's after the fact. So if you have a massive catastrophic loss, hire a public adjuster. I'm telling you, I used to work for one, and they do great work. They get you the money that you need. Okay. Also, something that happened before the storm hit. This was pretty wild. The water in Tampa Bay was completely sucked out. You see here.
Bay, look at this. All the water has run out of the bay. We just walked over here. Luis is shooting. We're along Bayshore Boulevard. Hopefully you can hear me. The water is gone, so it has been sucked out by Milton, which we suspected was going to happen. Our light's not bright enough to see how far out it goes, but I don't see any for as far as I can see.
So that's pretty scary. You know, you walk over and the hurricane has sucked all the water out of the bay. You're like, well, what's going to happen? Is there going to be like a wall of water coming into the bay at some point? Not sure exactly what happened yet. I haven't seen any reports of that, any reports of a tsunami or anything like that. But all this weather, you know, these back-to-back hurricanes, people are speculating, like, why are we having this? You know, back-to-back hurricanes right before the election season. Seems a little bit odd. And one person who's not afraid to speak her mind is, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she's been under attack lately for saying some things, saying the quiet part out loud, like, is someone messing with the weather? Now, I think it's safe to say that we do manipulate the weather, but to what degree that manipulation is controlled by these individuals and what degree that manipulation has to do with these hurricanes is still out for debate. You know, I don't think it's really under any debate that we do manipulate the weather. I just don't know to what degree they have control. You know, I think that's completely reasonable to ask. It's a reasonable question to ask. But Florida Representative Carlos Jimenez called out Marjorie Taylor Greene for contending that people are controlling the weather with space lasers and creating these deadly hurricanes. He wrote, newsflash, humans cannot create or control hurricanes. Anyone who thinks they can needs to have their head examined. The post was a response to an October 3rd post from Greene that said, yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anything to lie and say it can't be done. She doubled down, posting a meme that listed space laser patents that are said to be used by the government. Also, looks like Diane Griswold said something about the conspiracy theory, and then we had Joe Biden, who also talked about what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. I don't think he mentioned her by name, but he just kind of talked about how ridiculous it was to think that the government is controlling the weather.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop. Moments like this, there are no red or blue states.
So, yeah, is it beyond ridiculous, though? Because, I mean, you can literally, I mean, this is just one example, guys. Okay. I'm not one of these people that say, oh, the government controls the weather or the government made these hurricanes. You know, I just start with the simple fact that, yes, we are manipulating the weather. Now, to what degree and how much we have control of the weather is up for debate. But are we manipulating the weather? Absolutely. If you simply start with that fact, I mean, is it so crazy to ask questions? Now, you can get into these wild theories and all these other things, but you have to acknowledge the fact that, yes, we are. I mean, in just one example right here, this is physicist Michio Kaku. And he's a legit physicist, I guess you can say. Legit. Well, one of these sciencey people that people really, feel are legit, like the elites feel are legit. Michio Kaku, very smart guy, right? And this is him on CBS. This is a few years back. This is mainstream media. So it's not, it's not misinformation, right, Joe Biden? This is what he said to this CBS morning host. Listen.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion,
no.
though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate.
So, it's at least okay to ask the question. I mean, we saw what happened in Dubai, and they blamed that on weather modification, where I believe they were trying to cause it not to rain in Dubai, and they sprayed so many chemicals into the clouds that at some point it just got overloaded and it just started to flood. So I think it's safe to say, we are, messing with the weather to some degree, but to what degree that is involved in what's happening with these hurricanes has yet to be known. They like to blame it on climate change, on this and that, climate change. But I think it's okay to at least ask that question. And they like to say, oh, that's so crazy. Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about lasers in the sky? Well, Michio Kaku was talking about it just a couple years ago. So can we at least ask the question without getting berated? But moving on, Donald Trump says that he will not. Actually, let me rewind here for a second. Fox News offers another debate for both candidates. One final debate. This is offered by Brett Baer. Listen.
Got a big message for both campaigns here. Yes, we are officially inviting both campaigns, the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign, to a final debate. We're calling it a closing argument in Pennsylvania, Thursday, October 24th, or Sunday, October 27th. And one of those two options, it would be the same rules as CNN or ABC. It would be Martha McCallum and me moderating, and we hope the campaigns take us up on it. We think there's one more chance to try to make this happen, and we'll see if they do. I've got a big message for both campaigns.
Interesting. I wonder what Donald Trump's going to say about this. I don't know if the Harris campaign has accepted. I believe that they have, because I really don't think they have anything to lose at this point. Harris is just, she has to do everything she can. They have to take crazy risk with Harris right now because her poll numbers are plummeting. She looks terrible. Every time she does an interview, her polls go down even more for good reason, because you listen and you're like, what is she even saying? But Donald Trump, he has responded to this offer, and he says politely, no, thank you. That's what he says. He says, I won the last 2 debates. I won one with Crooked Joe, the other one with Lying Kamala. I accepted the Fox News invitation to debate Kamala on September the 4th, but she turned it down. Right? He says, listen, we already had a date. She turned it down, and now all of a sudden, because her poll numbers are down, she wants to pop out another debate last minute, right before the buzzer. J.D. Vance easily won his debate with tampon Tim Walz, who called himself a knucklehead. I am also leading. This election season is just wild. It's like a movie. It's like a complete movie. Called himself a knucklehead. I am also leading the polls, with the leads getting bigger by the day and leading in all swing states. The first thing a prize fighter does when he loses a fight is say that he demands a rematch. It is very late in the process. Voting has already begun. There will be no rematch. Besides, Kamala stated clearly yesterday that she would not do anything different than Joe Biden. This is true. She said that. Well, she said, when asked if there was anything that she would change about, her time in office or about anything that Joe Biden did, she said, not that I can think of. Oh, really? Afghanistan, the Afghanistan pullout. You wouldn't change anything about that? A little bit rough answer there. So he says, there's nothing to debate. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. The last part is just perfect. Thank you for your attention on this matter, Donald J. Trump. So Donald Trump saying, no, I think I'm not going to do another debate. And I think this is actually good strategy for him. A lot of people are going to come out and be like, oh, well, he's scared. I don't think it helps him at all. I think it would only help Kamala Harris because, when she gets on these shows and she does these interviews, she's not good interacting with people. She was the best I think I've seen her during the debate with Donald Trump, honestly, because she prepared for weeks prior to that. And she was preparing with it was like this high-powered lawyer from Google that was coaching her and all these other things, probably helping her with body language. I don't know. So they want another moment like that, I believe. Donald Trump's like, no. And really, I don't think it helps Donald Trump at all. It wouldn't hurt him, but it also wouldn't help him. I think what helps him more is spreading the hype like he has been by getting on these podcasts. Because people who watch the debate, they're really not going to be your low propensity voters. They're not going to really care about the debates, right? But people that watch podcasts, however, are. So he can reach those people. So I think that strategy is actually a lot more smart for Donald Trump to pursue. Kind of like when he went on Flagrant 2. This is a huge podcast. Andrew Schultz is a massive comedian. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. I wouldn't be surprised to see Donald Trump on Joe Rogan before this election takes place. I really wouldn't. Because he has been doing podcasts with people in Joe Rogan's circle for the past couple months. He did Theo Von, Andrew Schultz, Lex Friedman. These are massive platforms. Theo Von, comedian. Andrew Schultz, comedian. Lex Friedman, podcaster, and he's also a professor at MIT, I believe. I could be wrong about that. It might be a different, I think it's MIT, computer science. I think that's much better. That's a much better strategy. The debate, it'd be fun to see, but I don't think it moves the needle one way or another. But it could move the needle for Kamala, depending. But just like this, you see Donald Trump in just a normal setting, normal podcast setting, a long form podcast, interacting, having human interactions with Andrew Schultz. Kamala Harris could never listen.
Over the last week, I have to, when we talk about funny or sad, I think it's more sad than funny. Yeah. He has one ability I don't have. Yeah. He sleeps. He can sleep. This guy goes on a beach and he lays down on one of those, 6 ounce, they weigh 6 ounces and you can't lift it. Yeah. They're meant for children, young people, and old people to lift. Yeah. They're aluminum, hollow aluminum. Yeah. They weigh very little and he can't lift. And somebody convinced him he looks good in a bathing suit. And when you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great. You're not going to be enhanced. Yeah. All right? It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but typically you don't.
Depends what he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing, but I don't want to. And I don't want to know either. I don't know. But he has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things, and in minutes, he's stone cold out.
How does he do it?
And he's got cameras because he's the president, so they have cameras on him.
Yeah.
And then they show him sleeping on the beach.
Yeah.
You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we?
So I think that's a better strategy for Donald Trump to pursue. So I think he's actually doing the right thing. Why give Fox News a platform? Fox News is not as bad as some of them, right? But really, Fox News is mainstream media. Mainstream media is not what it used to be. And it's good to see that Donald Trump is leveraging that fact. Donald Trump is not going the way of Blockbuster. Donald Trump is Netflix, okay? Donald Trump is Netflix, not Blockbuster. Let's go. Leveraging the new media. The corporate press is going in the toilet. Flush it down. Nobody wants it because they're fake news. They are fake news. Love to see it. Moving on really quick, guys. We've got a couple more things we're going to talk about. Texas Secretary of State office directs poll workers to accept non-citizen IDs as voter IDs. This is not good. A new advisory from the Texas Secretary of State's office directs election workers to accept driver's license issued to non-citizens as voter identification, even though state-issued training materials indicate that they should not be accepted. That's weird. Texas Secretary of State is a Republican, but this comes from the office. What's going on? What's happening here? The advisory issued Tuesday afternoon also fails to mention that naturalization certificates may be used as voter ID. The Texas DOPS, Department of Public Safety, issued driver's license and personal identification cards to lawfully present non-citizens, but the IDs are clearly marked temporary visitor or a limited term. Christina Adkins, Director of Elections in Texas Secretary of State's office, issued the election advisory. First, she stated that Texans should not use this type of ID to participate in elections. She says, it is possible for a non-citizen who was previously issued a limited term driver's license or ID to subsequently become a naturalized citizen and then fail to obtain an updated permanent driver's license or ID card. But when an individual presents a limited term driver's license or ID card to vote, the only thing that can be known for certain is that at some time, whether in the past or the present, the individual was a non-citizen who is not eligible to vote. Accordingly, our office has consistently made it clear that Texans should not use this type of license to participate in elections, even if otherwise constitutes a valid form of ID. The advisory then directs poll workers to offer a regular ballot to people on the voter rolls to present a non-citizen ID. So I'm like turned around here. What's going on? So is this in the same election advisory here? Saying that people who have this ID at some point, they're a non-citizen who's not eligible to vote. And then they say that they should be offered a regular ballot with this ID. I don't even know, guys. Am I following this correctly? This is crazy. The election, this is more from this advisory. The election judge or clerk should inform the individual that the identification presented suggests that the individual is not a United States citizen. The election judge or clerk should then inform the individual as to the eligibility requirements to vote in the state of Texas. If the individual does not have further questions or concerns and wishes to proceed to vote, the individual should be offered a regular ballot. What? You have this ID. It indicates at some point that you were a non-citizen. Offer them a regular ballot. What? Is that what I'm reading? Am I reading this correctly? Seems like a very confusing advisory. So I don't know if I don't think we have an update on that. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, Greg Abbott does something about that, has something to say about that. Moving on, we got a couple more things here. Black female Democrat CNN strategist tells white pundit that she won't be lectured by some white male. Your daily dose of drama here. I love this stuff. Kind of. I love it kind of like the same way I like to watch you hear a car crash or you see a car crash and you got to watch. It's these low IQ people, oh, you're a white man, or oh, how dare you talk to a woman like that? It's just like, what are you even talking about? Can we get this? Can we get these arguments out of our dialogue? Oh, how dare you talk to a woman? You're a misogynist. You're a racist. You're a this-ist. You're a that-ist. It's like, lady, relax. That always makes them calm down, right? So this is what happened. Hold on. Let me refresh the page. Hold on. Fast forward here. Here we go.
The murderers coming into the country and jeans.
Listen, this isn't the first time we've heard this kind of talk from Donald Trump, and it reeks of authoritarianism. And it also harkens back to a time of Hitler, who used the same exact language that Donald Trump is now quoting to talk about the people who he thinks are poisoning the blood of the nation. All of this smells like an affinity towards eugenics, which really should give us all pause. Because when we remember the last awful authoritarian dictator who believed in eugenics, it was someone who really wanted to exterminate an entire people because they thought that they didn't have good genes and because they were trying to create a certain type of race. Donald Trump has himself said that his parents, his father, raised him to believe that they were superior to others because they had good genes. Now, what does that mean? The way he's talking about it is he wants to purge the immigrants, right? He wants to get rid of all of the immigrants and has said that he would do some pretty nasty, harmful things to them because they don't have good genes. I don't think that this is just rhetoric. I think that we need to take this seriously and understand where his inspiration comes from. And today, of all days, it is just really savage that this is who he's quoting and that he's quoting Hitler.
Come on, Aaron. I don't want to swear.
David, I mean, is this rhetoric to say you believe in the racehorse theory about bloodlines?
Listen. Hey, Aaron, listen, I'm not going to sit here and put up with this. I am a very good guest normally. But to Aisha, for you to compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler on 10/7 is just shameful. Number one, what he was talking about are murderers. People who came into this country and murdered Americans, okay? So let's not try to string together a bunch of quotes that weren't put together. There are different points in time to try to make it look like something he didn't say. He was talking about 26,000 people, rapists and murderers in this country. And he said, in my opinion, and it's not just Donald Trump's opinion, there are scientific studies out there about nature or nurture, about murderers, whether they have some sort of genetic predisposition to murder people. And he's talking about the people who murdered Americans, not eugenics, not some made up BS, Aisha. So listen, I'm sorry that Donald Trump feels like standing up for people who may have been murdered by immigrants and want to deport illegal immigrants who are here, criminal, violent aliens who want to kick them out of our country to protect Americans. But that's okay in my case. He's not talking about eugenics. He's not going to compare him with Adolf Hitler today. I find it particularly offensive.
Listen, we can fact check, this all day long. David's hot air is not going to rewrite the history of the words that Donald Trump himself has used. This is fact. He has
read the words he said today.
About genetics. Well, I'm talking about the history of everything he's ever said. So you can have a short-term memory, David, for the sake of going into an election and doing Donald Trump's bidding. But this, as an American,
let's talk about Kamala Harris.
Makes me really concerned.
Let's talk about Kamala Harris
as a black lesbian who Donald Trump doesn't believe has genes as good as his. Is he going to attempt to exterminate me
why do you
when
believe
he gets
that,
elected? Because he damn near said it. That's why, David.
It's crazy, guys. His rhetoric is just not reality. It's just nuts. And it's really funny that people that say, well, the right does the same thing. They like to sensationalize what the left is going to try to do to them. It's just like, no, the right actually has proof. You know, we have proof over what the left has done to us. I mean, you can just look at it, how the FBI has pressured social media companies to censor us constantly, time and time and time again, how they're going after Donald Trump and all of these court cases. How they're going after J6ers, blowing everything that happened on J6 way out of proportion. Like, we have a mountain of evidence what the left is doing. But everything that they attack Donald Trump over is simply a straw man that they create themselves. Oh, Donald Trump said this, and I'm going to tell you what Donald Trump meant by this. And when I tell you what Donald Trump meant when he said these words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, start here, stop here, a few words that Donald Trump said, so it sounds really bad. I'm going to strip all context out of the sentence. Anything that, what was Donald Trump talking about during the time? What was the context? The Democrats are the kings and queens of that, of stripping context and trying to make Donald Trump say what they want, or they want other people to believe he said. I mean, the hoax about the fine people on both sides, that hoax, the most famous one that is still being parroted to this day, where Donald Trump supposedly called white supremacists fine people, when that was a total lie. Even has been fact checked. I don't give a crap about fact checks, but I would like to point this out to the liberal friends, my liberal friends. It's even been fact checked by, the leftist Snopes organization. But like 6-7 years later, but it has been fact checked, and it's been repeated by Kamala Harris since then, Biden, and countless other Democrats. So they don't care. Even when they're fact checked by their own leftist organizations, they don't care. All they want to do is find a way to push a narrative. That's all they care. That's politics for the left. And this lady is just, it's just pure evil. Like, they don't have to say anything that's true. It's only about skewing. It's only about really causing a emotional reaction. That's all they really care about. Causing an emotional reaction for the people, to reinforce the emotions of the people that agree with them. That's what the Democrats do. Constant brainwashing and reinforcement of emotions so that they can look past everything that their eyes see and everything that their ears hear and trust the propagandists, not their own critical thinking. That's really what the Democrats do. Now, are politicians on the right guilty of that sometimes? Sometimes, yes. Politics is politics sometimes. But this is like a gazillion times worse. Like a gazillion times worse. But moving on really quick, Donald Trump, he called out Howard Stern, absolutely destroys him Almost done here, guys. It's the last segment here.
Otherwise, they'll say, oh, you know, these guys are so bad. A big part of our problem in this country are those people right back there. Big part of our problem.
Talking to corporate press here.
Fair press badly, desperately. I watched the way they asked questions of Kamala yesterday. Howard Stern, he's a weak guy. He's weak. He's going, what about, It was so ridiculous. Even she was embarrassed. It was like softball. But all of them. Howard, I knew him very well. I was on the show many times. I used to think he was good. Then I dropped him. And I dropped him like a dog. And
I mean, it's true. Howard Stern, like, he used to be, like, edgy and all these other things. And now he just went totally woke. And it's really funny how people like are kind of hands off. They don't attack Howard Stern for the edginess that he used to have on his show years back. I mean, he used to do some crazy stuff on his show. I mean, you can find videos of years ago, Howard Stern in blackface saying the N-word. Like, it's pretty wild stuff. Like, any Republican who's even associated a tiny, tiny bit with conservatives would just be their career would be over, completely over. But since he has bowed to the holy woke mind virus, he has this protective bubble around him. It's really weird. I mean, you can literally find it on Twitter. It's bonkers. He's got this blackface on. He's saying the N-word and like he's using like a Ubonics. It's crazy stuff. And the fact that this is never even talked about. They act like the left acts like it doesn't exist. And then he also went after Whoopi Goldberg, says that she has a dirty mouth. I had that video too, but I'm gonna end it there, guys. How's it going, guys? We have Tijuana Border Jumper in the chat. He said, "Good morning. Am I late?" No, Tijuana, you're not late, but I am. I was late. I started at 9:30 today. Let's see. I think we had another super chat here. Sorry, guys. For some reason, sometimes my super chat machine over here on my streaming software doesn't work, but I can find it if I scroll through here. Usually. Hold on. Oh, here it is. There it is. I've got to scroll through all the chat. I got to get a better system here, guys. I don't know what's going on. Lorem Ipsum. Yes, says the weather control claim has factual evidence because they felt the need to deny it publicly and without strong retort. And other solidifies we are right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there is evidence that, you know, at least organizations probably associated with the federal government are doing stuff with the weather. Now, to what degree it's affecting these hurricanes, that's up for debate. But what's really not up to debate is whether we're doing something to the weather. I mean, there's tons of evidence about that. I mean, they're trying to roast Marjorie Taylor Greene for saying, like, are we hitting the sky with lasers? And then you have like this famous physicist, Michio Kaku, a few years ago, saying on CBS, the corporate press, that they are firing a 1 trillion watt laser into the sky. I think that is grounds to at least ask some questions, okay? This is what I hate about like the government. Like, oh, how? I can't believe. I mean, it sounds kooky, right? To the average person, this sounds kind of kooky if you don't have any more context or if you haven't seen some of these, interviews or if you haven't heard about this thing happening. So they're leveraging that. They're leveraging the average person in their little bubble, thinking that firing a laser into space or firing a laser into the clouds sounds kooky, because it does, until you watch an interview like that and realize, well, maybe, there is something going on. You don't have to imply more than that. All you have to do is start with the simple fact that there is something happening, but they don't want you to even go there, because then other people, they'll come up with all these theories. Some people may go too far, think some crazy things. But, I mean, you got stuff like HARP, weird stuff like that. And you don't have to go into further theory to at least acknowledge that it is happening. Right? You can come up with theories, but you can at least start with the simple fact that it is happening. You don't have to even go further than that. That's where I start. I'm open to be convinced of other things. I don't know what's going on really, but there is something going on. But we have Michelle in the chat. She really likes the all these stories. I do too. I like to read them. Trium infinitum. Geoengineering. You know, I'm going to try this. I have this text to speech thing. I want to see if it works. Hold on a second. See if this works. Let's see. Toggle. Oh, here we go. See if it works.
Pete says. And everybody thought Men in Black was science fiction.
That's right, Pete. Hey, do you guys like the computer voice reading it or me? That's kind of cool. Okay, let's try this one.
Christy says. Isn't it crazy how they expect us to believe things that we have seen with our own eyes as if we didn't see it?
Yes, it is crazy. So yeah, that's I just found that the other day. Did the stream work okay today? Was there any like freezing or anything like that? It was kind of crazy yesterday. At the end of the show, I saw that a lot of people were experiencing problems. And then I actually brought it up on my YouTube on my phone, and it was like 8 minutes behind. I was like, well, that's weird. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it had something to do with the hurricane. Maybe there's some server somewhere that my show was being piped over that was getting messed up. I don't know what's going on. We have Shoemaker in the chat. How's it going, Shoemaker? Over here from LV Nation. Thanks for modding. Pete said perfect stream today. Well, that's good. Michelle said perfect. Okay, good. I'm glad it was perfect. We got Melissa, one of my new members here. Says if it can be done in 1947 without technology, imagine what could be done almost 8 decades later. True. Queen Bee's Art Hive. No, I don't like it. Okay. It's okay. Listen. Okay. I was just putting it out there. I just thought it was interesting. Maybe I'll change the voice. Maybe I wonder if I can do this. I could like put a sample of my voice into AI. And then I could have them create the sound waves and I could upload it into this program. So it reads an AI version of my voice on. Okay, that just sounds crazy. I don't think I'm going to go that far with it. We got Southern Sass in the chat. We got Mama Bear saying they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Wait, did I skip a section? Hold on a second. Guys, I think I completely skipped over the dog thing. This is not good. I'm glad you reminded me really quick. This is important, actually. This was crazy. The reason why I was so on this story is because I have the same breed of dog. So this was a dog that was tied up to a fence in Milton's path. You see right here.
But it's okay, buddy. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
So if you look, that's a English Bull Terrier. And I used to have one. Well, that's a standard. That's the standard size. I had a mini version. Very, very good dogs. I love those dogs. I want to get another one. Mine died a few years ago, like maybe 3-4 years ago. Here is him or her. I can't tell if it's a male or a female. Afterward, they really are the best dogs. They're very playful. Also, Governor Ron DeSantis, he responded to this. This is what he said.
The dog up for adoption, and the vet, the dog has a clean bill of health, and who knows, maybe we'll do some adoption, put the dog up for adoption, and we can have some people in Florida come and compete for it and take it. But, it's just like, I mean, people do a lot of dumb things, but you just see that. And so I hope they find the person who did it, and that person should have the book thrown at them. We've got very good laws in Florida against animal cruelty. These dogs, we've got dogs that are going to be helping in the storm. These police working dogs, they're great. They're great canines. So we don't have tolerance for that in Florida. I thought it was outrageous that somebody would do that.
Crazy, yes. And here is my bull terrier. May he rest in peace. This is him happy. This is him full grown, believe it or not. Rockefeller, his name was. I named him Rockefeller. I had him for four years. He was the bestest boy. Yes, he was. He was a good dog. Yep, Spuds McKenzie. Everyone that saw him, they would be like, oh, is that Spuds McKenzie or the target dog? Younger people would call him the target dog. Older people would call him Spuds McKenzie. And then there's the people that, I guess there was a meme. I forgot what the meme was, but there was a bull terrier that was in a meme that had his ears back and he looked funny. I forgot what the meme was called. Melissa said, I wonder if he got loose and the leash got tangled. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility too. Blue Dreamskate says, sorry for your loss. Hey, yeah. I'm looking for another one, though. I really want another one. Treeman from Ryan says, English Bull Terrier. Yes. So this is, my dog is was a miniature English Bull Terrier. And let me tell you, he was full of life. Lou Gumshoe says, not Target. Yeah. Yep, the Target dog. That's their mascot. I think there's his name Spot. If you walk in there, you'll see it sometimes. I think they still have it. I haven't been in Target in a long time. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you could, please, before we get off the show, if you could leave a like on this video, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're not yet, consider subscribing. And if you'd like to support the show, down below, I have my links. Make sure you go to mypillow.com/unwoke. Use promo code unwoke. Buy yourself one of the pillows before the deal ends. Get some coffee. And I haven't really talked about the coffee lately. I have the coffee right here. I love it. It's my favorite coffee. It's really good. Low acidity, dark roast is my favorite. Organic. It's all organic. So go check that out. But everyone, have a fantastic rest of your day.